Hey guys, this is going to be an unboxing and overview of the new Cooler Master flagship power supply, the V1000. So this is a 1000 watt power supply with 80 plus gold certification, and on the front here it shows that it's got a 135mm fan, which is actually supposed to be quieter than the Silent Pro hybrid fan. So on the back here it shows the fan curve, which is interesting because it shows that it actually doesn't spin up above about 1100 to 1200 RPM, depending on where you are, what power supply, what your mains power supply is. So it shows here with the efficiency curve, the power curve, that it's gold rated if you have mains power at 115 volts, 60 hertz. But it's actually platinum efficiency in places in the world such as Australia, most of Asia, and I guess South America even, where your mains power is about 230 volts at 50 hertz. And here it shows you what the cables are. So we have our 24-pin motherboard power supply. We actually have two 8-pin CPU pegs, and we have support for up to quad SLI or quad crossfire. It also has 9 SATA cables, 4 Molex connections, and a floppy connection if you require that. So let's just open this up. Just a thin shell, thin box. So here we have the voltage output. So it shows we've got an 83 amp on a single 12 volt rail with a total power of 1000 watts. So it's actually a nice sexy box that this comes in. Nice cardboard box with the Cooler Master logo on it. Now, this looks like it opens here. Yep, spot on. Alright, so here we have the packaging. We have the standard power connector. This is, of course, the Australian version because this is in Australia. We have our little bag of goodies of our cables. Let's just go over those now. So here we have the 24-pin motherboard power supply. Now, as we can see here, all of these cables are black. So it's a nice uniform black. Of course it's not braided, but it is much nicer than looking at the multicolored, standard wiring. We also have our little bag of 4 screws to attach the power supply to the case. And if we look at the 24-pin motherboard power supply, motherboard cable, we have, of course, this is a fully modular power supply. This is why this is, disconnected. So this takes one 10-pin connection and what looks to be 3, 6, 9, 18-pin to give you your 24-pin. So that would plug into the relevant places in the power supply. And I do believe that this is a 60 centimeter cable, which might actually be a bit short for some larger cases, but I don't have such a case at the moment to actually test it in. So here we can see our PCI cables. So we have it plugs into the power supply with this 6-pin and splits out to 2 6+2 pins near the actual completion, the end of the cable. And so I actually prefer this rather than having 2 cables connected to the power supply. It makes for much easier cable management, and most people use power PCI extenders anyway for the nice braided look without having to braid their entire cable. So we have one of those here, another one, 2, 3, and that's the CPU pin, and 4. So that's 4 sets of 6+2 of double 6+2 power connectors for PCI. So there's your quad SLI support there, quad crossfire support. So here we have our 2 8-pin CPU pegs, CPU connectors. So that's the end that connects into your motherboard, that's the end that connects into the power supply. And so that's for the more high demand, high end motherboards that require extra power, like server motherboards or high-end overclocking motherboards. So here we have our Molex connection. It actually gives us 2 of these guys. So it did say, oh yeah, it said we have four Molex connections. So each one of these has 2 Molex connections. This one has 2 plus the floppy drive connector, and this one just has the 2 Molex connections. And so here we have our 3 lots of 3 SATA connections, and these all plug. So these and the Molex ones actually plug interchangeably into the appropriate places on the motherboard, on the power supply, which are marked there. So that's all the cabling out of the way. Push it off to the side. Let's have a look at the main unit. I think I just dropped a plant. Well, I have to clean up in a minute. That's a shame. Right. So let's have a look at the main unit here. So this actually comes very well packed in two nice styrofoam. Sorry, I don't think it's styrofoam. 2 nice foam I guess shock protectors for transport, and it comes in a very sexy bag. Here's the menu. I'll have a look at that in a minute. Now this bag is actually, you can't see this, but it's actually very good quality. It's feels very soft, and it's lined with a nice felt interior. So that's a nice thought. It's a nice little drawer bag. I guess you're only ever going to use this once, but it just speaks for the quality of the power supply. This is a very nice power supply. So this power supply is reminiscent of the SATA Pro Hybrid with the same aluminium faceplate for the fan, but it does have a slightly better fan in it, by all accounts. This is according to Cooler Master, of course. We have here on the side, we have the V1000 stamp with the Cooler Master logo, the same on the other side, so that it's visible whether you mount it facing up or facing down. We have our power switch on the back with the Cooler Master stamp there. So here we have again the same voltage regulation output, so 83 amp on a single 12 volt rail, and total of 1000 watt and A+ gold certification. But again, it is quite cool that this is actually a platinum rated PSU if you're in the right places in the world, I guess. So here we have our main connection outputs. So this would be where the motherboard connector, the 24-pin motherboard connector, would attach. So this is the 18-pin socket there, and the 10-pin socket just behind it. That is the 10-pin socket, correct? That is the 10-pin socket. Just being a little stubborn. Let's ignore that, it's not necessary. That is definitely the connection for it. I'm just apparently not adept enough to use it. So we can see here that it has the full support for all 4 of our PCI connectors. So they're all the 6-pin PCI connectors. So they all just plug in there. Yeah. And of course, if you're only using 1 or 3 graphics cards, you just plug in as many as you need. And the 2 CPU 8-pin connectors plug in here and here, as well as the SATA connections and Molex connections plugging into these. So if you're using all of them, and of course cable management will be a bit trickier, but it's got a lot of support, which is fantastic. So the nice Cooler Master logo there. This is actually a very nice fascia. I really like that. It looks really good. Now I'm going to be doing a also photographic based review and overview on Overclocker forums. I'll put a link in the description. But as it stands, I'm not going to power this up at the moment. And I don't have the equipment to actually do voltage regulations or anything like that, but there are plenty of reviews on the internet for such things. This is really just an overview of the actual power supply. So it is a very nice looking power supply. It actually uses the same OEM as Seasonic. So it's a Seasonic. It's essentially a Seasonic power supply at its core, unlike previous Cooler Master power supplies, which have relied on less well-known OEMs. So I guess that's it for the Cooler Master V1000 power supply. And I'm not sure of the launch date of this, but if I do manage to find that out, I'll also put that in the link for the description, of course, for Australia. It will release sooner or later in other parts of the world. Thank you very much for watching, and if you want to see more reviews at intermittent times throughout the year, then subscribe to the channel and you may get a couple of updates. Thank you very much for watching.